former student athlete, I have a vested interest in helping student athletes to reach their potential as students, as athletes, and as who they are as people. This is why my research is centered around internal characteristics and student athlete performance. I've been looking at this literature for about 5 years now, but I'm going to attempt to summarize it in less than 2 minutes. There is a tremendous amount of research devoted to the academic performance of student athletes. There are factors that contribute to performance and factors that inhibit performance, and these factors tend to fall under 3 main themes. Pre-college characteristics such as high school GPA and standardized test scores, external factors such as the role of scholarships and policy on performance, and internal factors internal to the student athlete, such as their academic motivation or how they identify with the student role. On the other side, we have athletics. Not as well researched, but still a lot of information. Factors, again, continue to fall under pre-college, external, and internal themes. Pre-college examples would be high school size and predicting the starting status of a college athlete. External factors include things such as how the coach relationship with the student athlete impacts performance and how their peer group can sometimes influence pressure to perform at a higher level. And internal factors such as sport-specific characteristics like confidence or ability to cope with adversity. And what we see is that there is a lot of research devoted to external factors that are outside of student control. But I'm more interested in the internal factors, things that we can teach and facilitate in students, and that's also an area in need of further research. In addition, the research tends to look at academic and athletic performance independent of one another, instead of seeing the performance as a whole person and their academic and athletic performance. I want to tell a short story to set up my framework. I know an athlete who devoted her young adolescent years to softball, and she was a great pitcher, and she helped her team to a national championship, and she was recruited by different colleges. And she ended up choosing her college, earned a softball scholarship, and when she got to campus, coach said, you know, you're looking to be more like our 3rd or 4th string pitcher. I want you to focus on hitting an outfield. Now keep in mind, pitchers are not known for their hitting or their outfield, and this athlete really didn't have many opportunities to hit growing up. So the athlete had a choice in that moment, and the athlete chose to buy in and practice the different form and technique that was being taught in the realm of hitting an outfield. And the athlete ended up actually earning the highest accolade that you can as a student athlete, first team All-American honors. She helped her team and contributed over the 4 years, and she never pitched 1 inning. And this is a true story, and this actually is a story about me. And I don't believe that that experience is possible if not for a certain mindset. Enter Carol Dweck's framework. She says that we have either a growth or a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is when you see your abilities and characteristics as malleable, things that can grow and develop with time. A fixed mindset, on the other hand, is when you believe that your characteristics or traits are concrete. They are a fixed entity. She has shown that there are tremendous benefits to having a growth mindset. There is increased academic performance and motivation, for example, and a lot of really quality characteristics that come from a growth mindset, such as the ability to cope with adversity, seeking out challenges, bouncing back from challenges, a focus on mastery learning in the process and getting better. They attribute their shortcomings to a lack of effort. On the other hand, a fixed mindset has many dangers, and for example, someone with a fixed mindset is constantly working on low effort performance to prove flawless performance. They're constantly trying to protect their identity and demonstrate their value, so they're less likely to seek out challenge, they don't bounce back from adversity as well, they feel threatened by the success of others, and they attribute their shortcomings to a lack of ability instead of a lack of effort. So in this particular study, It was in preparation for my dissertation. We surveyed 100 student athletes. We looked at basic demographic information, academic and athletic performance criteria, such as how many accolades they've earned, their GPA, their playing time, their scholarship. And then we tested their mindset towards intelligence, and their mindset towards sport ability. And keep in mind, Carol Dweck says that you can have a certain mindset towards one area, such as academics, but a fixed mindset in another area, so it's really context specific. Now, the primary purpose of this study was again to set me up for my dissertation, and this framework has actually not been used with this population. And so one of our main objectives was to ensure that we had adequate reliability for the measures we were using on this population. Because most of Dweck's work has been conducted primarily in a middle school setting with younger students. The metrics achieved the high reliability, and so we know our metrics are consistent. And the other objective is we wanted to make sure that our population had both a growth and a fixed mindset, and that it would be a viable framework for my dissertation. It turns out that students do have a growth or fixed mindset towards their intelligence, and they also have that same spread towards their sport ability. Interestingly enough, student athletes tend to have more of a growth mindset towards sport ability, and students who had a growth mindset towards intelligence had a moderate tendency to also have a growth mindset towards sport ability. So we have the data and we got our objectives, but we might as well continue to look and see if there's anything else going on that's interesting. What we also saw was that there was a statistically significant relationship between student athletes and what they believe about their sport ability and how many athletic awards they earn. Meaning that the more likely a student had a growth mindset towards their sport ability, the more accolades they could earn. Now, thinking back to my hitting example, if I would have a fixed mindset towards my hitting ability, then I'd be less likely to aim and work towards goals that reflect that of a great hitter. Now let's move out of the sport context and let's look, for example, at the Faculty Mentor Award. The criteria for that award, one of the criteria is that you help students with job placement and networking. And if you have a faculty member that doesn't see this as a strength for them, however, they look at their personality characteristics with a growth mindset, they see that as a skill that can be developed and fostered, making them more eligible perhaps for accolades such as this. The other interesting thing we saw was that there was a statistically significant relationship between how many academic awards a student won and how many athletic awards they earned. Looking at the performance literature, we can speculate a few reasons as to why this is. We know that high achievers tend to be high achievers in multiple domains. And we know from performance literature that if a student is able to successfully set small, short, and long-term goals and execute those goals, they have the ability to transfer that skill to other settings. Those are two possible explanations for this relationship. So, in conclusion, this study helped me in preparation for my dissertation by achieving the adequate reliability that we needed, as well as making sure we had enough student athletes and had a growth and fixed mindset. We went a little bit further and we saw that there was a relationship between a growth mindset and athletic awards earned. So why does this matter? This matters because Carol Dweck and her colleagues have demonstrated that you can implement successful interventions with students and help them move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. And you can also take somebody who has growth mindset tendencies and implement intervention and strategies and thought patterns to help them solidify that mindset. And going back to my opening comments, I care about the internal factors and student-athlete performance. And this framework is an area that has not previously been used to view student-athlete performance. And ultimately, my goal, as I mentioned, is to help student-athletes be their best academically and athletically. And if we're doing that, then we are also helping them with their personal development, because I believe that success is just a byproduct of your level of personal development. And after all, Dr. Dweck says it best, that the mindset we adopt for ourselves can profoundly affect the way that we live our lives. Thank you.
All right, we have time for some questions.